Hey, everybody, this is Eric Mueller, the host of The Eric Mueller Show. You're tuned into the podcast where we explore what makes any successful person's inner clock tick by unlocking the most impactful tools within their success portfolio. Today, I'm joined by Serena Baleja, a data-driven influencer marketing strategist with over 8 years of experience across luxury travel and consumer tech. With her new app, Socialite CRM, she's transforming how small businesses manage influencer campaigns, make high-level tools accessible without burning a hole in your budget. Serena believes in the power of human connection and refuses to believe that everything can be automated. Relationships do matter, and she's got the hospitality heart and strategist brain to prove it. Let's head on over to the interview. Serena, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on all the way from California, originally hailing from London. We're happy to have you here.
Mhm.
And Serena, really, before we dive deep into this future of influencer marketing, the creator economy, and really your unique approach to bridging tech with human connection, we want to know what makes up your success portfolio. So if you're new listening to the Eric Mueller Show for the first time, really quick background on this is just think of an investment portfolio with money, maybe an individual stock account, you have your 401k at work, whatever you are investing in with money to build a financial future for yourself. Well, on the Eric Mueller Show, we want to discover how successful people like Serena invest in themselves and build the foundation for their own success. So Serena, start us off here. What are maybe some skills or traits, habits or mindsets that make up your success portfolio?
I would say that it's people. It's always going to be other people. They say networking isn't really working, but we know that it is. I think that a lot of successful people will tell you that their value or their worth is in their contact list. And PR companies are the same. When you pay those high fees, you're paying for all the contacts that they've accumulated over the years, all the relationships that they have. And I call on my relationships more often than I'd like to admit. But a lot of them is for promotional purposes. So creators and content creators. And content creators are always going to be good at making content. And I kind of outsourced all my content creation to creators early on when I was, because I've started Socialite back in, I think, 2011. So it's been a long time. I don't like to say more than 10 years because I don't want to give away how old I am.
Yeah, that 13 years ago already, it's crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, I've lived in a lot of places and I have a lot of connections in those places. And I think keeping up with those connections is a skill. I think going out and talking to people is a skill. It's like a muscle. It's like you'll get stronger at it if you keep using it. And I think that after like the pandemic happened and none of us could network, I found myself like using Lunch Club and just kind of talking to random people. So I think that is kind of my superpower. I love talking to people. So when I kind of see a future that we have all these like agentic future where they're taking away all of these like communications and connections, I just don't see a functional future where that actually works.
Yeah, and you kind of shed light on this, and it's kind of the cliche saying you hear. It's like not what you know, but who you know sometimes. And really, another example that I thought of, think of like a car mechanic, and you're paying them X amount of dollars to fix your car. You're not necessarily just paying for that one time. You're paying for all those years that they took to learn how to do it. And so it's kind of, kind of can be eye-opening a little bit. Or if you go to the doctor, like, they went to how many years of school to learn how to treat you. And so we talk about the success portfolio and the things that you can invest in to continue moving towards your target, whatever that might be. But that also brings up the question of what is success, Serena. So I like to kind of tease out, the definition that you'd have for that. And then, when you hear that term success, what does it mean to you now? And how has that maybe changed over time for you? Or maybe it has remained somewhat similar throughout your years?
100% it has changed over time. 100%. So I only started a social media company or social media management because I wanted to travel remotely. I saw it all over the gram and I was like, hey, I can do this. So my goals then was to just be completely autonomous, to manage my own time and to be able to travel a lot of places and live in a lot of places. And I managed to achieve that. But you know what they say, as soon as you reach your goals, then you make new ones. And then slowly over time, as I got older, I wanted to nest. I think that that's like the term is women like to nest and find security and like a regular routine. So now my next like dream or my next level of success is I'm working on building my dream home, and that is kind of my North Star whenever things get hard. So yeah, I think I'm like self sufficient right now, and that is kind of like how I define success. Like I don't need to rely on a lot of like anyone else for my lifestyle. And yeah, and I think that that's what a lot of people are looking for actually, like whether it's getting out of a 9 to 5 or even trying to start a new thing. But right now I'm definitely having discourse in going from a freelancer to a founder. That journey is couldn't be wildly different. It's kind of similar, but it's completely different. So meeting other founders here has really spurred me on to do that.
Yeah, and you don't know what you don't know as well. So like talking to different people, different founders from different industries, even like you learn a lot of unique mindset hacks or different things that you can think of that you can incorporate into your own journey, and you can kind of take bits and pieces from what you think works for you or what will work for you. But yeah, I can imagine that freelancing into the foundership, definitely a wild ride that you gotta keep it in your mind to enjoy the journey, which is much easier said than done. Serena, I don't know if you have felt that over time. Like, people will say like, oh, don't necessarily get so hung up on results. Sometimes like enjoy the process. Your idea is probably not going to come out fully formed. But has that been difficult for you? Have you found that it's, maybe it wasn't super difficult, but has it become a little bit of a challenge for you going into more of the founder role after, having been in the
Mm-hmm.
freelancing for so long?
Mm-hmm. I think that the main difference is between SaaS and services. And I believe that services will always cost more than SaaS, uh, like than a tool to do it. But if you've noticed, the trend is that more and more SaaS tools are being targeted towards freelancers and targeted towards contract work. Creators in themselves are gig workers. They get paid by a 1099 form. So I can only see more and more of the population moving towards that trend. And I think if you own your media like you do, there's so many more ways that you can kind of use that media. And yeah, like you yourself, I would classify you as a creator.
Heck yeah. All right. That's recorded now too. You're listening to this. That she said that, not me.
Oh yeah, yeah, and because it's long form as well. Long form automatically has more value than short form. The biggest value in short form is turning it into a commercial or an ad. So I'm basically kind of educating both sides where they ask, why does this short form cost so much if the long form has more retention? It's because you can use the short form in an ad and you get the usage rights to do that. So it's kind of a full circle. That's why it's called the creator economy, because literally you can put in $500 and make 5 million. And I have a use case for that, which is Ruggable. If anyone wants to check that out, I could definitely link that. But yeah, it was touted years ago as the most cost efficient way to get brand awareness. And even though all the rates have been rising, it still is the most traceable, trackable, and cost efficient way to get brand awareness.
Yeah, and that's using like the existing networks that people already have, influencers, let's call them. They have those big followings, so you could come to them with, you have a new energy drink and you want to promote it, and so you could get with someone that could share what they're, following and have a small, short, little bite-sized reel on Instagram or something, and that gets you exposure. But is also the flip side of that there's not as much evergreen value in that. Like you still, that creator put it in their lens, they are getting paid for it, but there's not actually any future return, any future ROI on their involvement with, that particular brand, right? It's kind of like a one transaction or maybe a contract-based transaction.
Yeah, I mean, the one-time posts, I'm trying to steer brands away from one-time posting because I don't think that is any value for anyone in the party. Everyone on both sides of the table want long-term partnerships. Pardon me. Everybody. So it takes a lot to get there. I think that all influencers should be onboarded to a creative program, which it will be like an affiliate scheme. A lot of brands pay huge monies for affiliate schemes, and then none of the influencers enroll because it's technically like a separate part. So there's so much to educate people on. And I've already made my GPT chatbot. I've already trained my little agents to do similar things. But then I realized like it really isn't human. It's not hospitality based. Like you can't expect people to just fill out all forms, read everything, understand everything, know FTC regulations. Like it's a lot. It's a lot, especially if they're a creative person. And I kind of view it as just creative freelancing in general. Like in general, creative freelancers get asked to make commercials all the time. So I don't see it any different than that. And I think that the worlds are going to merge really like very apparently in 2025, especially with like the big agencies. They're going to expand their creator side. Things like UTA have already brought up a lot of tools that I actually used to use, and I don't have access to them anymore because they have them. So yeah, it's turning into a big game. But I still think that the small businesses have the most to gain. And I believe that creators actually like working with the smaller businesses more. So I'm hoping that I can clear anything up for anyone who does think about wanting to do it or think about even reaching out or like, how do I approach this? What do I ask them to do? Yeah, all of that stuff.
Yeah, and kind of the thought I feel like might be on some listeners' minds is if they are a small business owner and not even to put a number on the following, but it's modest, let's just say on the social channels. Mm-hmm. Do you find that are those people more likely to be matched with similar level followed influencers? I mean, or is it impossible to match someone with someone that has 5,000 followers with an influencer that has like in the millions? Is that something? The cost obviously increases, but are those, I guess, what strategy would you initially advise someone with that would come to Socialite to be able to start that process as a, let's say they have 5,000 followers on Instagram and they're a small business based in the US here.
So if they know exactly who the purchaser is, like who is buying their products, I would do three things. So one, I would scan all the customers to see which of them are maybe influencers themselves, and then try and reach out to someone who's already converted is always going to be really easy, like a kind of easier conversation to have because they already love your product. Then the next one is to find similar people exactly like your buyers. And I actually have a tool, it's called a lookalike tool. So when you have a profile, you can use my tool and you can find 30 more people like that person, but it will be a varying amount of followers. So I usually like to do it by like engagement rate. So it does not matter how many followers that you have. If you have a really highly engaged page, whether you have like 2,000 or 2 million, you could even be paid really similar if the 2 million person has like a 0.01 engagement rate, but still it looks good for like the bragging rights and things like that. Yeah, so I would say there's a base rate for UGC, and that is $250. So that's anyone with any amount of followers for any video. And I think that a lot of people could take advantage of that. I think that it's still cheaper than getting someone to make your social media posts monthly, even though I do think that people should be present on those platforms. But you can always outreach to these smaller people and ask them, hey, can you do an account takeover for me? Can you make me like 10 posts instead of one? And usually most of the time is yes, because they're over a long amount of time and they get like 10 posts within like 3 months or something like that. And it really is a collaboration, because some people can change these small businesses like entire lives. I don't know if you partake in TikTok, but recently the most warmest one that I saw was Bob's fish hats shop. This guy that sells hats with fish on them. And
Yeah.
he just got approached by someone that had a lot of followers, and now the internet has made him famous because he's adorable.
Yeah,
Bob's
it's
fish hats, if anyone's
Bob's Fish Hats. Yeah.
interested.
Yeah, that I mean, it's amazing how quick some of that stuff can happen. All it takes is one really, really good opportunity for a small business, even if you feel like, and podcasting somewhat similar, it could kind of shed light on that too. But it can take a lot of time of maybe 3, 4 years, 5 years of, it seems like if you're on a podcast talking to a brick wall, like is behind Serena's window there, or your business still hasn't taken off yet, but you never know when that breaking point is. So like the not giving up aspect, I feel like, and with you, Serena, with the founder, experience now that you're having, it's probably easy to think, gosh, should I throw in the towel on this? Like, is this worth my time? Am I ever going to break through? But you never know when that tipping point is. So that can certainly,
Yeah.
help people feel good about the possibility of a really, really good future with their business.
I mean, the biggest difference I can tell is everybody seems like it's comfortable to ask everyone to quit their job and become a freelancer full time. But then when it came to becoming a founder, I almost had everybody tell me not to do it. And that was the starkest difference that I've seen. So it's like, okay, so it's okay to quit your 9 to 5 and just be a freelancer. But as soon as it comes to like building something bigger than that, a lot of people have told me not to do it, and just kind of like, hey, services, you're always going to make more money. And I'm like, that's not true.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not true. But I do know that my band of people that kind of do work for themselves is the backbone of America. Like, I know that sounds cliche, but that sector where we're all working for ourselves, gig work, creator economy, yeah, that is growing, and I think that's going to be the norm in not even 2 or 3 years. I think it will be 60% of the workforce will be gig work.
Wow, yeah, that's, I mean, certainly a stark change from what it has been over the last, decade plus, like 15 years ago, with, YouTube really not even having gained much traction, just in terms of something where you think someone can actually create a channel and create something for themselves and get money, get paid for it. We've seen gaming streamers blow up with Fortnite back in 2020 and different things like that. And it really kind of makes me think a little bit about the influencer space and the creator type economy that you just talked about. Do you think that maybe some of the pushback that you had with the founder experience was when you freelance, it's in some way another type of job? So I feel like, is there some type of fear where, the people telling you not to do it? I feel that probably is coming from a sense of fear, thinking that if you're freelancing, you're still getting paid, like you're still like someone is hiring you to do something, even though you're sort of more in control. But as a founder, you're totally on your own. You're totally in the deep end. It's a sink or swim type thing. So I wonder, do you think that's more from like people's fear, Serena, that they just don't know if they necessarily have the capability to do it themselves, so they almost project that onto you from a
Oh man,
mindset where
yeah.
they are trying to protect you, but it's almost like,
Mhm.
everybody's walk of life is different, everyone's story is different. Just because they are fearful of it doesn't mean it's a bad idea for you.
Yeah, I could honestly say that my like naivety around not being afraid has definitely gotten me really far in the process. But there's been lots of situations where I can see why people have said what they have said. So I'm part of an accelerator at the moment. And in the accelerator, they said, you need to quit your job to do this. We won't accept you in the accelerator unless you quit your job. And then I just had confusion because I don't really have a job, but I do have clients that do keep me going. So there is a lot there because it's like the only reason why I feel successful is because I'm able to sustain my lifestyle this way. So why, like, yeah, but then I know in myself, I'm not just going to stay down this path. I've been doing this for years. Like, it was going to happen anyway, no matter what. The thing I'm building is going to get built if it gets funding or not, because I've been lucky enough to meet people, experts, and be curious enough to do it myself. And also, I don't have kids, so I stay up a lot all night to just like make something that works. Um, and then when it does work, it feels amazing. So, so yeah, I mean, a lot of people told me as well, don't buy land in LA because it's impossible to build a house. And my naivety, and like, yeah, and then I'm slowly finding out that's very, very true. They didn't lie to me.
Yeah. Right. Sometimes you take it with a grain of salt. Sometimes they do know what they're talking about, and it's tough
they,
to
they, they knew,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's tough
but I'm
to
still happy that I did it. Like, it's hard to build things. Like, I'm very aware it's very hard to build things.
yeah.
But there is like the afterthought, the satisfaction, and the process, like you said, that actually doing it. That is fun, even if it means that I'm like annoying someone in the city for my permits every 3 weeks. Then, like, I'll just find the fun in that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think this probably is something that I would say is on the minds of the listeners too, Serena. And hearing you talk about, the creator economy, and you sound, obviously a very polished knowledge about it. What really like inspired you to get into this in the first place? How did you get into influencer marketing, and what was the catalyst to feel like you needed to start something like Socialite to help people and help small businesses more specifically leverage some of these connections that could really help their brands explode?
So it's an interesting story, at least. And I started out in London, and I worked for someone who considered themselves like the OG influencer before Instagram. He was a photographer named Herbert Yipma, and he made these incredible travel books, and he was selling all these travel books, and he made Hip Media, which is a hotel promotional company. They started in, I think, early 2013 to run a creator program. And they had never done it before. So it was up to me to vet the creators, find them, send them to these hotels, collect the content, send them out to all the hotels, and use them in promotional content. So choosing a bunch of influencers for luxury travel, as you can imagine, everybody is going to say yes. And the main things I looked out for was just who was going to give me good content. It wasn't necessarily followers. Yes, it was engagement rate. And back then, I didn't have my tool. So I literally had to count and divide all of the engagements by the number of followers that they had, and try to see who actually had a real audience. Now I have a great indicator of like an active or an inactive audience. So it will tell me if someone's profile is basically dead or not. But there were a lot of different personalities, and I love dealing with personalities. If you have a big personality and you call me on the phone, we're going to have a great time. But that being said, I couldn't give rooms to everybody. It was a dream partnership if for other people. But they all got to meet each other. There was one villa in Bali that everyone got to meet in, and it was a great time. And it was since then that kind of people knew that I could vet and select people and get the content. And it was from that I started doing it for a lot of different other hotels as well. But it was an interesting time of my life. I had to take out my number from my email signature because people would keep calling me if there was an event, like in Italy, like, can you please get me a hotel, and things like that. But yeah, I think I love being that person though. People still text me about that.
Yeah, that's a really cool start. And yeah, I mean the travel, I feel like that's a big thing where you probably it wasn't surprising to you that so many people were interested in that, with being able to travel and, get paid to share, as a creator for things that they're able to do with paid travel. That's a fantastic opportunity. And I'm wondering
Yeah.
if, yeah, I'm wondering if you could shed light a little bit on, if someone has their business, you shared, the engagement followed, following engagement type, kind of dynamic. If someone wants to do their own like self check of their particular social channel, is that possible for them to? I mean, they could hand calculate it
Yeah.
out, or other. Do you have a program? You mentioned your app that you would use to do that, for them to match them with 30,
Yeah.
people. But how would someone maybe self audit their own socials to see like, is my profile dead, or like, is there a way to come back from that?
So the engagement rate is literally the number of people that are engaged on your profile. And there are really easy ways to increase it. Um, the first one is getting back to everybody that comments, at least in the first hour. And then that really pushes your content out as well. Make content that asks people to comment. That also increases your engagement rate. Um, yeah, and it's not so much like share. So it's not like shareable content. It's just the people at the time that have your attention. Are they engaging with you? And also try and encourage positive comments, not so much like divisive comments or anything like that. I know that's been like a tactic, but we do read sentiment. We do look at the sentiment of the comments as well, in booking. Yeah, and that's a huge TikTok thing as well. Like if you're on TikTok, definitely not. Like TikTok wants every creator to be very Disney, which is really hard, especially with some really great comedians out there. Um, yeah, and also you can use my tool to check your engagement rate, really, really easily. And I've had a use case where somebody has an excellent engagement rate. They had great traction on their profile, and they used my tool like in the reverse way that I would use it. And they were emailing brands like, "Hey, I've used this tool, and it has said if you give me your product to promote, I can give you this much ROI." And I thought that was incredible. I was like, "Okay, yes, this is what I want." So creators are also using the tool to reach out to brands, whereas usually I'm on the other side and a brand just reaching out, seeding creators. So there is that use case. So you can definitely use it, and then you'll realize exactly what the people on the other side are looking for or what they want, and if you can just serve it up to them, and it's like it will be a resounding yes.
Yeah, that sounds great. We'll I mean, certainly tag your information in the show notes here for, people to have the ability to connect with your website, learn about the app, maybe
Thank
even
you.
become a customer of yours to help with their, influencer marketing of their own business. And another piece to, your tool and how you use that to, you have like some sort of automation built out to make it easier for yourself, which you found out over time is, you don't want to hand key all these numbers anymore. You want to save your time and, be able to put that into other elements of your business and growing it in different ways. But is there a limit, Serena, to the amount that we can automate? We talked a little bit already about personal connection and not wanting to, dehumanize the experience. You still want to deal with personalities. And so, the striking a balance between using this automation for being efficient, but maintaining authenticity and having strong relationships still being the focal point. This kind of can get into a little bit about maybe a GPT that you mentioned that earlier. How do you best construct that to keep that blend and make sure that we're not taking too much of the human personality out of it, but still remaining efficient? Someone might be
Oh
looking
yeah.
for, they're building a brand totally around their personality, and then they don't want to, automate it to the point where people feel like they're not even talking to that person, right?
So the major issue or huge pain point in this industry is ghosting, or people just not getting back to you, people not responding. I'm really proud to say I have a 60% response rate, which is kind of like unheard of.
That's
But
massive.
I do that using prompts, and I believe that the first touch or the first email should be really personal, and everything after that, like a follow up, the reminders, um, I like to automate those. So I call it like partial automation. But I really believe in this, especially with my hospitality background. The strength in rapport, I think, is only going to get stronger after all of these AI conversations. And I've tested AI sales bots, I've tested everything. And I just think, like, yeah, a 10% response rate versus 60%, like, I'm putting in the effort. But I've systemized it in a way that you can actually do it, you can scale it. So the three prompts, especially when you add like a contact in this sheet, is why is this person a match? Like, why do you want to contact them, and what do you want them to do? So if you can get those three in a really short like form that they can like read at one glance and it only fills the phone, they don't have to scroll, then you have a really strong first connection. And then you can get on a call, and then you can book like, hey, what is your availability to make this piece of content? Can I get it by this date? And then in the call, you book that date. You set reminders for that invite so they know. You get like their phone number. It's a lot. It's a lot to get someone to do something for you. I call it activation energy. Like, how much activation energy would it take for you to make a video about insurance?
Like, yeah, right. It might be totally off their radar.
Half of it. Yeah, money's only the half of it, and there have been instances where people even have done the agreement and signed an agreement, and they still ghost. So it literally just means I'm not in it. I'm not invested emotionally in doing this for you. Like, even if it is a lot of money, like I've seen people turn down like $5,000 just because they're like, I'm not into this, like, or it doesn't match, it doesn't align. And I think this alignment thing is so important for us to make connections. And I just think people need like a bit of nudging to do it properly. I do believe that we should have like maybe an email thing that will review your email to make sure it's not like aggressive and things like that. I agree with those kind of things, but there's also like things that I've put in emails that so I was working for a gaming company and they could not get hold of this particular gamer who was female, young, and there could have been so many reasons for it. And I literally just did one line of like, I loved this that you made. It really made me think about this. These people want to get hold of you. Just let me know if you want that. It, like, you know what I mean? Like it's really hard to read emails sometimes because sometimes things can be misread. But I think that you know when someone is a human on the other side. And I think that all the companies and all of the programs that just blast all these emails, they probably only get like 10% of what they really wanted. But for me, I just think if they know there's a person on the other end, then they're going to get back to me, because I think the fatigue of just being spoken at is just going to get too much. So I'm not anything special. I'm literally just a contractor. And whether I'm contracting on behalf of an agency or whatever, I always use my own email. I act very normal and calm. And then most of the time people say like, no, I could tell you that you were a person. Like, there was someone that cared on the other side. And I think that if you're a small business, then you're definitely doing the emails yourselves. You're not paying someone to just blast them. And also my email has quite a high trust score now, because they're all unique. None of them were blasts or anything like that. But I did use AI to help me make each of them unique. So yeah, it's slightly longer than just blasting thousands and thousands of people, but you get higher quality. You get a really good quality relationship. And I just think that that's going to be so important for everybody. It doesn't matter what business that you have. Like, you're going to need real relationships. And yeah, and I've been tricked by a sales bot before, and I felt really silly. And I don't think it's going to catch on, but that is just my opinion. And I'll eat my words later if it does.
People can sense that authenticity, can't they? It's really obvious. I feel like even with that message you sent to that particular gamer, it's like, is this person just buttering me up because they want something? Or, but to that point, they can sense that. I feel like if you get a message and it's like, this is just a genuine observation of, I noticed you created this. I really liked this. Here's something that I know someone wants to reach out to you. If that's something you want, sweet. If not, no problem. But I still liked what you did. It's not like a give only if you can take. It's like you genuinely are authentic about, giving them some praise for what they've done. And I think it's maybe just comes down to intuition, but I really do feel like people can sense that. And if you send something out that you don't actually mean, I feel like people can see through that more often than you think. I feel like you really can't fake that authenticity, even over like a message or an email. people are smart in that way, and they're able to sense if it's a human. And I think using AI to help draft those sounds perfectly reasonable. I can think of so many opportunities and times where I've used the Chat GPT to help recraft an intro for the show here, or like some type of email, or like, hey, help me write this using your memory about me to make it a little more like me. And so you can use it, you can leverage it without fully making it robotic. And so I think that's a unique place that you have with Socialite to be able to do that for these brands to kind of hold their hand through. You mentioned it. You mentioned a use case. I didn't want to forget to bring this up before we
Yeah.
close here, Serena. But that $500 turned into, was it 5 million? What
Hmm.
was that particular use case? And you can not mention the company, whatever you think is okay there. But what was
I
that particular
can
story?
I can mention the company because they made the use case very public. It was Ruggable. So with Ruggable, they kind of pioneered this whole new DIY craft uh, practice of making rugs. And almost every custom rug that you see on TikTok is made using their Ruggable machine. And they also sell rugs. They also sell finished rugs. And they connected with a craft creator who was very small at the time, less than 10,000 followers. So they paid her $500 for just a video of her making the rug. That video was so successful that they continued to use it. I think it's even like 3 or 4 years old at this point, but it's their highest converting video. So that means that they had kept using that in commercially or through ads for years and years and years. And then that they shared at a conference that their ROI on that was something 100,000%. So
What in the
they paid
world?
the creator $500. That creator also got commission on her profile. So she was enrolled in the creator program. So she did get a cut of that 5 million. I don't know how much though. Like it was probably per something per sale. Uh, but they were very happy about that. And that was only one. And think about how many creators they have. And the numbers anywhere between 100 a month.
That's outstanding. And the thought I had too, Serena, is like, think of the exposure and the additional benefit to that creator. Like, not only from the money, but however
Oh
big
yeah.
their reach is now, 10,000 or so followers. I mean, I'm sure you get enough views on something like that. I mean, your own individual brand outside of the money is also, exploding or growing in a way that you really can't put a price on. So that, yeah, I mean, that's a really, really exciting use case example of, how this matters a lot for both the companies and the creators. And I want to ask you,
Mm-hmm.
Serena, if someone is listening here and they want to, reach out to you, learn more, learn about Socialite, connect with you personally, what's the best way for them to do that? Do you prefer social media, or is there an email, or you just go to the website?
So
What is your preference?
I do have a website. It's socialite.life. And I have a lot of resources on there, and I'm in the process of uploading more, including email templates, of sending out briefs. So all the different briefs for all the different platforms, or all the different kind of I've got a contract template up there as well. Um, yeah, all the different ways that you could ask for something, usage. I got a lot of education on there if you want to check it out. And yeah, and you can also connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm very chatty on LinkedIn. Yeah, and whenever anyone sends me any kind of bot message, I do reply to just to see if they respond like as a person. So I'm always really interested in those kind of conversations. Even the blasts that I get email wise, I respond to them like, yes, I'm interested, just to see if someone will get back to me. And nobody's ever got back to me even from a blast. So it's a weird world. But I posted a lot about the creator economy on LinkedIn, and I'm open for questions if anybody wants to start something like this or do it on their own because it's cheaper. That's literally what the app was for. So I could at least handle more requests than I can do.
Yeah, Serena, that's fantastic. This has been such an awesome conversation. Learning how to boost influencer marketing ROI. I think that everybody listening here that is a small business owner, or even if you haven't yet started whatever your entrepreneurial journey is, this is, Serena has shared, this is where the future is going. You want to skate to where the puck is going to be. And yeah, I mean, I just had a blast listening to this and learning more about, just got me thinking a lot about how to expand, own brands that I have, and just what can be done more to ensure that, we're not falling behind and not losing our authenticity, but still leveraging some of these cool technologies that we have out there, like your app, and being able to do those types of things. So yeah, Serena Baleja, the founder of Socialite, will tag everything on the show notes, give people the ability to reach out to you and learn more. Cannot thank you enough for being on the show today. We appreciate following your journey. We'll catch up with you soon. All right.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. Thank you for being a B2B influencer.
Perfect.
Your service is appreciated.
I appreciate that. It's awesome. People like you are what makes this stuff worth it, Serena. So it's very, very much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.